Up to 1 million sickness and disability benefit claimants are to be ordered to seek work. What I hate about this sort of story is the celebratory tone of the reporting in the kind of places that are today obeying the government's orders with their coverage of the Birmingham City Council debacle. What I hate about it is the celebratory tone. Because what you are supposed to do if you read the Daily Mail and you're sitting there eating your toast this morning, you're supposed to sort of high-five each other over the marmalade. 1 million on sickness benefits will have to find a job. Yeah, because everyone else is awful. Everyone who's not like me is gross. Let's take a day off from slagging off foreigners and slag off sick people instead, because they're all lazy, you know. They're all swinging the lead. They're all feckless, work-shy layabouts. They should all just get on their bike. In my day, you couldn't get off sick. In my day, woo, high five over the breakfast marmalade, because they're going after people on sickness benefits. So I hate the celebratory tone. But I don't want my own hatred of the celebratory tone and my deep disdain for the kind of people in this profession that join in with their full chests and accept with alacrity any invitation at all to attack the vulnerable, from refugees to single mothers to the unemployed, who are more vulnerable than the employed when it comes to the vicissitudes of the financial system and the state of the economy. And of course, there are no people more vulnerable in many ways than the sick and the disabled. You see the language here. An estimated 2.5 million incapacity claimants are deemed unable to work and languish on handouts. Why do they use the word languish? Why does Jason Groves, the political editor of the Daily Mail, use the word languish and not, for example, the word survive? Why do you think that is, if you are minded to high-five each other over the marmalade this morning? Why does this man write languish on benefits? What does the word languish communicate to you? Just have a think about languish. Oh, they're languishing. They're not surviving or struggling. An estimated 2.5 million incapacity claimants are deemed unable to work and struggle by on handouts. So I have a completely different feeling. Languish. They'll have to find a job. Why does it say ordered, not helped? Why do you think this language is deployed in this way by these people? Up to 1 million sickness and disability benefit claimants are to be ordered to seek work. Ordered. Not helped. Not encouraged. Ordered. Because they must be faking it, right? If they weren't faking it, you couldn't order them to seek work, because they wouldn't be capable of doing the work that you're ordering them to seek. The fact that you're going to order them to seek work means that they're swinging the lead. They're having a laugh. They're taking the Michael. So we're going to order them to seek work, and they're languishing on benefits. It's actually disgusting. It is fascistic. It's a word I always hesitate to use, because obviously the end game of fascism is so well documented and so well known. But the end game of fascism? The end game of fascism begins with baby steps. Begins with people using the language of 1930s Germany. It doesn't involve introducing holocausts. It involves using words like swarms and invasion to talk about foreigners. We've got a government that does that before breakfast now. Of course, we've got a Home Secretary who refuses to accept a plea from a Holocaust survivor to stop using the kind of language that was used about her family in the 1930s. Joan Salter, of course, at that constituency meeting in Fareham a couple of years ago, when Suella Braverman looked her in the eye and told her in terms to shut up and sit down, Holocaust survivor. I'll use whatever language I want to describe foreigners, however much it upsets you and reminds you of the language that was used to describe your family. So language is important. Language is the building blocks, if you like, of disgusting politics, disgusting policies. So I hate the language. I hate the people who deploy the language. I hate the politicians who sit there rubbing their hands with glue. I don't hate the people. I hate what they do. You can't hate a person. Well, you can, but you should try not to. I hate the language. I hate the politics. I hate the environment in which it is embraced. I hate the idea of you high-fiving each other over your marmalade because they're finally going after the sick and disabled. And if I have pause and think, are you misrepresenting? Are you just, no, I'm not, because why say ordered and why say languished? Ministers believe this total could be cut by hundreds of thousands if those excused work. Excused work They're not excused work. They are deemed unable to work in most cases. It's not excused work. You get excused work when the sales figures come in and you've all broken your records and the boss says take the rest of the day off. That's being excused work. I get excused work if there is a big royal event, for example, and they don't want me anywhere near the microphone. So they say, you can have the day off if you want. And I say, you're going to have to pay me. And they say, yeah, obviously, I've been excused work. I've not been excused work because I've got, long COVID or ME or depression or crippling anxiety. I'm not being excused work. It's disgusting language. Mobility or anxiety problems. What, you mean like can't walk and can't leave the house? Yeah, that kind of thing. You need to be ordered to do stuff. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's very, very deliberate. And guess what? Those deemed capable of work could have their benefits docked if they refuse to cooperate. What about if they can't? But you call it a refusal. Yeah, docked. Makes me sad, actually, some days. Some days it's just sad to see, isn't it? You make a list of all the people you think deserve protection or deserve looking after or deserve an arm around the shoulder from our society. Who would you actually put on it? Gillian Keegan's husband? That's what you're being told to do today. Grant Shapps taking a leaf out of the Keegan book and dedicating today's round of interviews to talking about himself and telling everyone that he's a lot better than some of his critics think. Secretary of State for Defence giving interviews about the Secretary of State for Defence and his as yet unidentified attributes and talents. Secretary of State for Education telling journalists how unfair it is that she doesn't get gratitude while presiding over one of the biggest disasters in our schools since Gavin Williamson was Education Secretary. Gavin Williamson, of course, being sent on behavioural training after he held very senior positions in successive Conservative governments, including Secretary of State for Defence, a job now being done by Grant Shapps. It's like a Russian doll of ridiculousness. You take the head off one of them and there's another, squealing self-pityingly or advertising their absolute inadequacy and unsuitability for big jobs. So what are they going to do next? They're going to go after the disabled. They're going to go after the sick. The coverage of this policy is disgusting. Mel Stride sounds like a lounge singer. And the intention of the coverage is to have people who have already been successfully groomed into hating refugees to now turn their attention to people on disability benefits or people on sickness benefits. That is the intention. But I do not know if that is the intention of the policy. All right, that is the intention of the coverage. Now, as you will see when you read or hear anyone talking about Birmingham City Council this morning, the British media consists of about 80% Tory cheerleaders who almost take their orders over lunch from central office and pursue whatever direction the government wants them to pursue. That, in the course of the next year, will fall apart like a cheap suit as the realisation lands that it's not going to be a Tory government, almost certainly, almost as important, then they will do what they always do and just slightly recalibrate, change their style slightly because they need access and they need access to power. But just watch it happening. You've seen it with Brexit already. Find me a journalist that supported Brexit and I'll find you a journalist that never talks about it. Funny that, isn't it? Considering the responsibility we have to our listeners and our readers to actually give you the information that you need to make informed choices. So you will see it happening. You will see these attacks happening. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the policy is designed to do. So you need to tell me what it is like to be on sickness benefit, to want to work, and to currently not be able to. And you need to tell me what would help. 0345 6060 973. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing I have never understood, I do not understand, and I doubt I ever will understand. Successive Tory administrations have made being out of work, whether through circumstance, illness, or even choice, such an unattractive prospect that I don't understand how they can still subscribe to the rhetoric that millions of people choose to do it for fun. Right? There was just about a case when I started in this job when you totted everything up for saying it's cheaper for me, I'm better off not working than I am working. They have literally, if you are a supporter of such policies and you don't think the safety net should actually provide safety to people, you think instead it should provide a short, sharp shot which sends them skyward towards the tightrope of life once again. If you're into that kind of attitude, then you should be at the front of the queue of people saying, hang on a minute, we've been cheering your cuts, we've been cheering your austerity, we've been cheering your bacon slicing off the top of payments to people, we've been cheering your universal credit, your abolition of housing benefit being paid directly to. We've been cheering all of your ways of making it less attractive to be out of work. How can you still be telling us that people who are out of work are swinging the lead? I don't understand. 03456060973. Is it possible that this is actually a half-decent policy dressed up in the disgusting clothes of placating right-wing media? Or do you hear something very, very, very different when you learn that you are to be ordered to seek work with an obvious and, I'm afraid, unavoidable subtext that part of the reason why you're not in work now is because you actually prefer it that way?